text is a little bit more unique in that it has a lot more properties to it than just graphical information, such as its insertion point, or like we think of a shell or a cylinder, we're thinking about the facets or the edges or the points that define the geometry. Text is a very, very powerful geometric primitive in Hoops Visualize. It is treated like any other primitive, so when we insert text, it has an insertion point of where it's going to reside in world space. Then we can control the actual string. This is where we'd actually set the font. That could be a true type font, which can be fully transformable. It could be a system font like GDI, which will be always screen space, drawn screen space. And there's a wide variety of attributes. Just to highlight a couple of them, we can use the transform attribute. So if we set it to be transformable and it is a 3D transformable capable font, like a true type font, then as we orbit the camera or change the modeling matrices for that segment where that text is stored, the text will transform in actual 3D, the glyphs or the outlines. There's also a ability to modify whether the sizing of the text. So if we scroll down here a little bit through the font section, we see setting text size. This will control how text scales. This is also a very, very important attribute of text. So if it's object space or world space, that means it will be kind of transformable as we zoom in or pan or scale. So the location of the insertion point of that text will change. And then we can have other scaling units that will make it potentially fixed size. So if we said something like pixels or points, they're going to be in fixed size. So as I zoom the camera in and out, that text will stay a fixed size, which can be very, very nice to anchor some text onto the model or onto a part. And as I zoom in or out, perhaps I don't want that text to get very, very small or very, very large. So it depends on what you're looking for. So this is a very, very common attribute to look at. We also support multi-line text. An example down here, we can have a single piece of text primitive, a single insertion call, and we can denote it to be multi-line with the backslash n to indicate starting that on a new line. And then we also, another advanced concept, there's a lot of other attributes I would encourage people to look through, particularly text greeking. That's a good optimization. You can tell the system that when text is going to be drawn smaller than a certain size, Hoops Visualize will replace it with you can tell it to draw it with a box, an outline, or not draw it at all. It can improve performance when there's large amounts of text in the scene. Support text backgrounds, as you can see here, some sample code. You can control the geometry of the background, the color, and whatnot. And different shapes are built in. And we also support geometric dimensioning and tolerance symbols. So we have a font that we provide, which is called the TS3D True Type font. It's a GD&T font, and that comes in handy when you need to support any type of GD&T information on the model. So here's an example of all the standard GD&T symbols. Okay, so when we these will frequently be automatically used when we import files that have GD&T information. We'll map that GD&T information and use these symbols and draw that accurately in the Hoops scene graph. Okay, so there would be good to go through an exercise at this point. And really the exercise I'm suggesting here consists of first going and inserting text using direct database calls, just to get a little bit of experience with that, and then replace that piece of code with first setting up a kit and then inserting the text using the kit. And you could experiment with a variety of other text attributes, such as a background, change the transform, and experiment with all the different types of text attributes mean.